friends, welcome to the Procreate Basics Series from Tattoo Smart. My name is Russ Abbott, and today, and for the next few weeks, you're going to learn all of the basics of Procreate. This is for tattoo artists and anyone who's interested in the tattoo design process. This is not going to be a how to be a badass at Procreate for digital painting or for illustration or for any of those other things. This is really about getting you up to speed really quickly with everything that a tattoo artist needs in order to use Procreate in the studio to help make the process of tattoo design as quick and efficient as possible. And believe me, there is a lot to learn, but this is really easy. If you've ever wondered how people like me are doing everything so quickly and so efficiently with the iPad, this is the tutorial series that's going to teach you how it works. Before I get too far into this, let me just go ahead and cover one simple thing. Why Procreate? Why digital design at all? So I started tattooing back in 1998, and at that point in time, yes, Photoshop did exist, and I did use it a little bit for parts of my process, but most of what I did involved a lot of layers of tracing paper, masking tape, resizing things on the photocopier, cutting things out, pasting them, all kinds of just really frustrating processes. And so it used to be all that I could do to just have a completed line drawing ready to make a stencil before I could tattoo. I remember spending at least 2 or 3 hours for most tattoo designs, and in that time, all I got done was a line drawing. One of the things I knew would really start to improve the success of my work was if I could complete a full value study and hopefully eventually a full color study before I start tattooing. These days, I start every tattoo with that. Not only do I have a clean outline, but I also have the ability to change that outline at will as much as I want without worrying about wasting a bunch of time because I can do it almost instantly using Procreate. After I get done with the outline, I create a full value study so that I know where all the blacks and the grays and even the whites are going to go. I can make sure that I'm completely aware of every decision I need to make. And then once I have that value study, I can quickly color it in literally just a few minutes using some really easy and special techniques in Procreate, which I will teach you. So now I'm starting every tattoo with a completely rendered full color illustration. My client gets to see what that looks like before they commit to the tattoo. And we all proceed into the tattoo knowing exactly what's going to happen. If that sounds like something that would help you in your career, then stick around for this series. We're going to keep it easy, we're going to keep it short, and all of the action starts in the next video. I'm making this course because I own a tattoo studio, and as the resident Procreate expert, people are always asking me, hey Russ, how do I do this? How do I do that? Well, I just want to be able to point them to this video series. I want them to know that there's a video, a very short video that covers exactly what they need right when they need it. Because sometimes when we're learning, yeah, you can go through this whole course and you can just take it all in. But if you don't actually grab your iPad and work through these techniques and make them yours, then chances are you'll forget. You'll remember, yeah, there's this thing I saw that guy Russ on the video do, but I can't quite remember where the button was. So that's the secret, guys. You actually have to reference this as you need it, as you're actually in the challenge of trying to design a tattoo for yourself. So remember that. As you go through this course, actually try to do the same thing that I'm doing. Try to see if you can find where the buttons are and remember them. Use it a lot. Just make the next week or two all about designing in Procreate so that these become your skills and you no longer have to rely on these videos to help you remember how to do it. That's going to be really important. It's going to make all the difference, okay? So why go digital at all? Obviously, if you've ever tried to design tattoos on paper, you know about the challenges of making changes. You know what happens when you get to that place where you're trying to size up the stencil for the client and you realize that something's just not quite right. It doesn't fit on the body the way you wanted, and it's not working the way you hoped. Digital design can change all of that for you because it's really easy to just circle something that you want to change and change it in a number of different ways. You can stretch it, you can pull it, rotate it, resize it. You can even throw it away really easily and put something else in its place. So the main reasons that it's better to work digital than on paper is because you can easily make changes. No more worrying about going to the copy machine to resize things and taping them into place. All of that is really easy with the iPad. When you go digital, it's way easier to carry all your artwork around. You're not going to have to worry about stacks of paper or sketchbooks or thumbing through all these old files to find where everything is, because you're going to keep all your stuff organized in your iPad. Now, of course, you always have the danger of losing your iPad or having it crash or something like that. For that, we recommend that you always back up your Procreate artwork to the cloud, something like Dropbox or iCloud. One of those services is really easy to connect, and the number one thing you can do to take away the risk of losing everything you've worked on is to back it up. So don't forget that. Another thing to keep in mind is that your Apple Pencil can run out of battery. You can also lose it. You can drop it and break it. So it's a good idea to have an extra one of these around just in case, okay? Some people worry about the way that the Apple Pencil feels on the screen. You might think that it's a little too slick and that it's not as easy to draw as it is on paper. And I get that. For that, there are a couple of options. You can go with a stick-on screen protector, something like the one made by Paperlike is a good option. Another option is this magnetic screen protector made by AstroPad. And this actually attaches to the Apple iPad with a magnet, so you can take it on and off, and you don't have to have it on there all the time. Now, screen protectors like this have a little bit of texture compared to the slick, glassy surface of the iPad, and they do add a little bit of a more natural feeling when you're drawing. They also will affect the way that you view colors through your screen, and so keep that in mind. Sometimes I like the magnetic screen protector from AstroPad because I actually want to take it off sometimes. And one of the things I did notice is that using screen protectors like this started to wear out the tip of my Apple Pencil. And if you wear it out enough, it can really affect performance. So you want to make sure that you have a few extra Apple Pencil tips on hand just to change them out from time to time. Also, you might want to get one of these drawing gloves that makes your hand look extra goofy. But with using one of these, your hand slides around on the screen much better and doesn't get stuck if your palm gets a little bit sweaty. If you haven't already bought an iPad and an Apple Pencil, you may be wondering which model should I get. It's important to get the larger size screen. In my opinion, it's much nicer to draw tattoos on a larger screen than a smaller screen. So I will sacrifice a little bit of the portability to have that larger screen. Also, I don't need it to have the biggest hard drive ever. Apple sells iPads that have insanely huge hard drives, but this is mostly for people who want to work with video or want to watch a lot of movies that they're storing. When you're working with Procreate files, and that's mostly what you're using it for, you really do not need a huge amount of storage on the iPad. You can use the cloud services like Dropbox or iCloud to store designs that you're not working on currently. So that brings me to one final consideration. What is the amount of processing power of the iPad? One of the biggest limitations that you'll find if you get an older iPad or you get a model that is technically compatible with Procreate but doesn't have the latest and greatest processor, this means that as you start to work with bigger and bigger files, you're going to be limited on the maximum number of layers that you can actually use in Procreate. So the way that this works is when you go to create a new file, as you're creating it, Procreate will tell you this is how many layers you have available. So if you went with, say, a 16 by 20 inch canvas at 300 dpi, which is really high resolution, good for printing, you might be limited to only this amount of layers. And that could be a problem for you because some of these methods and techniques that I'm going to show you do make use of a lot of layers. And so you'll have to learn some layer management techniques. You'll have to learn how to combine and group layers together as you're working just to kind of stay within that limit. So the more that you're willing to spend on the processing power of your iPad, getting something like the new M1, M2 chip, whenever I think that's available now, just getting the best chipset available in the largest screen size that you can, but not worrying about paying extra for storage space like hard drive storage. That's not as important. And I doubt you're going to need the cellular capabilities. You're not going to be using your iPad as a cell phone, for example. You can use Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere you go. So you're not going to worry about spending the extra money on that. Keep in mind, Procreate only works on the iPad, and Procreate has said that they don't intend to change this. So I wouldn't expect an Android-friendly version of Procreate to come out anytime soon. The reason that tattoo artists like Procreate so much, and by and large, it's the nearly 100% of tattoo artists that use digital are using Procreate, from what I can tell. One of the reasons that this is the case is because Procreate is so user-friendly. its interface just gets out of the way. It has a lot of power, a lot that it can do that hides underneath certain buttons in places, but it's not overwhelming when you first open it up. It's actually really user-friendly, and you can get working right away. There's a lot you can learn later, right? So this is different than some of the other programs. Like one of the ones I really love is Clip Studio, but it has a frustrating amount of buttons and menus and all of these different things that can just really be overwhelming for a newbie. So I think Procreate has become the most popular because it just works, and their team is awesome at user experience and interface design, and they've just become the gold standard, the standard that all the others are following and chasing. There's a huge artist community around Procreate, not just in tattooing, but in the greater artist community. So you're going to find a number of amazing YouTube creators out there. You're going to find a lot of great Instagram accounts that show you tips and tricks. There's just so much to learn, and you can dive in as deep as you want to into the world of what you can do artistically with Procreate. And finally, because of the huge artist community around it, companies like Tattoo Smart have been making great products that work with Procreate for so long, which means we have a giant library of flash stamps that you can use. We have 3D model humans that you can use to add your designs on. There's so many different products and tools and techniques that have been developed specifically for tattoo design around Procreate as a platform. So that's why we're here. We're going to learn the basics of Procreate so that you can start using this stuff right away and get back to tattooing. I invite you to stick around for the rest of the series. We are going to have some free giveaways throughout. There's some really incredible, useful tools that we're going to give you absolutely free. So stick around for the next video. We'll see you there.